Story 1. The Burger King Abduction. I was a regular customer at my local Burger King. Every Friday evening, I would swing by after work to indulge in my guilty pleasure. A flame, grilled Whopper with extra cheese. The familiar scent of the grill, the cheerful atmosphere, and the friendly staff made it my go. To play through a quick dinner, little did I know that one visit would change my perception of Burger King forever. It was a stormy night, rain pouring down in sheets as I huddled in my car, contemplating whether to brave the weather for my beloved Whopper. The allure of the flame, grilled patty won, and I made up my mind. I dashed through the rain, eager to reach the warm confines of the fast food haven. As I entered the restaurant, I noticed a peculiar atmosphere. The once lively space was now eerily quiet. The usual chatter of customers and the sound of sizzling burgers were absent. The only sounds I heard were the soft hum of fluorescent light overhead and the raindrops pelting the windows. I approached the counter, expecting to see the friendly face of the usual cashier. Instead, a tall figure stood there, wearing the signature Burger King uniform. But there was something off about him. His eyes were vacant, devoid of any emotion, and a cold shiver ran down my spine as he greeted me with an empty smile. "Welcome to Burger King. How may I serve you?" he said in a monotone voice. I couldn't shake off the feeling of unease, but I brushed it off as a figment of my imagination. I placed my order, but the cashier's robotic movements and lack of engagement made me uneasy. I watched as he turned to the kitchen, disappearing behind the swinging doors. Minutes passed, but my order never arrived. Growing impatient, I approached the counter, only to find it deserted. The kitchen was eerily silent, and there was no sign of any staff. A sense of dread washed over me, and I realized something was terribly wrong. As I turned to leave, a faint whisper caught my attention. It seemed to be coming from the back of the restaurant. The voice was feeble, as if crying for help. Curiosity and concern compelled me to investigate, against my better judgment. I ventured deeper into the restaurant, past rows of empty tables and dimly lit booths. The air grew heavier, and an oppressive silence enveloped me. The source of the whisper led me to a narrow hallway at the back of the building. I followed the hallway to a locked door at the end. The whispers were clearer now, growing louder with each step. Panic surged through me, but I had to know what lay behind that door. With trembling hands, I fumbled for the handle and pushed it open. A scene of horror awaited me. The room was filled with rows of cages, each holding a person. Their faces were contorted in fear and anguish, their eyes pleading for freedom. Shocked and horrified, I recognized some of them as regular customers I had seen before. I stumbled backward, my mind reeling from the sight before me. Before I could escape, the door slammed shut, trapping me inside. The once whispered cries turned into wails of desperation. Panic consumed me as I pounded on the door, begging for release. Hours passed, but it felt like an eternity. Just when I had lost all hope, the door swung open, revealing the same vacant-eyed cashier who had taken my order. He motioned for me to follow him, wordlessly leading me through a maze of hallways and secret passages. I had become just another captive, trapped within the nightmare. Eventually, we reached a hidden chamber, filled with grotesque machinery and bizarre contraptions. The walls were adorned with menacing symbols and murals, hinting at dark rituals and ancient practices. It was a sacrificial chamber, a place where lives were offered up to sinister forces. As terror consumed me, I realized the truth. Burger King was a front, a facade for a nefarious cult. They lured unsuspecting customers, capturing them for their twisted rituals. The flame grilled Whoppers had become a macabre offering, fueling their unholy practices. I managed to escape their clutches that night, running through the darkness, never looking back. I reported the horrors I had witnessed, but the police found no evidence of foul play. Burger King denied any involvement, dismissing my claims as the delusions of a disturbed mind. To this day, the sight of a Burger King sign sends shivers down my spine. I warn others to stay away, to resist the tantalizing lure of those flame-grilled burgers. For behind the cheerful facade lies a darkness that preys upon the innocent, forever haunting those who dare to enter. Story 2. The Burger King Curse. My name is Sarah, and I've always been fascinated by urban legends and paranormal phenomena. Little did I know that my own encounter with the supernatural would begin at a seemingly innocuous place like Burger King. It was a rainy Saturday evening, and I found myself craving a quick meal after a long day at work. Burger King was conveniently located near my office, so I decided to grab a bite before heading home. I had no idea that this visit would turn into a haunting experience that would stay with me forever. As I stepped into the restaurant, I was immediately struck by a strange, eerie ambience. The usual sounds of sizzling patties and cheerful chatter were absent, replaced by an unsettling silence. The fluorescent lights flickered intermittently, casting long shadows on the deserted dining area. Nevertheless, my hunger drove me to place my order and find a seat near the window. The food arrived promptly, and I eagerly unwrapped my Whopper. The first bite tasted fine, but as I continued eating, a peculiar taste lingered on my tongue. It was an odd combination of sweetness and bitterness, like an unfamiliar spice that clashed with the familiar flavors of the burger. Confused, I examined the patty, searching for any anomalies, but it appeared ordinary. Despite the peculiar taste, I dismissed it as a one-off occurrence, perhaps an unintentional seasoning mishap in the kitchen. However, it didn't take long for things to take a disturbing turn. As I glance around, I notice a family sitting a few tables away. They seemed engrossed in their meals, but their expressions were frozen in a state of deep unease. The parents exchanged fearful glances, while the children whispered among themselves, casting fearful looks over their shoulders. A chill ran down my spine as I realized that something was amiss. Curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to approach the family to inquire about their unusual behavior. As I approached their table, a sudden gust of wind blew through the restaurant, extinguishing the nearby candles and plunging us into darkness for a split second. When the lights flickered back on, the family was gone. Their plates remained untouched, as if they had vanished into thin air. Fear consumed me as I raced towards the exit, but the door wouldn't budge. Panic set in as I realized I was trapped. The atmosphere grew thick with an otherworldly presence, and a voice echoed through the restaurant, soft but unmistakable. "Welcome to your eternal meal, Sarah. You shall never leave." Trembling, I turned to see a figure emerging from the shadows. It was a tall man, clad in an outdated Burger King uniform, his face obscured by the shadows cast by the flickering lights. He stepped forward, revealing an expressionless face that sent shivers down my spine. "Your hunger brought you here, Sarah," he spoke in a hauntingly calm voice. "But now you are part of the curse." I tried to scream, to fight back, but my voice was stolen from me. The man reached out, his touch ice, cold as he placed his hand on my forehead. Darkness enveloped me, and I lost consciousness. When I woke up, I found myself in a small, dimly lit room. The walls were covered in strange symbols and cryptic writings. Desperate to escape, I pounded on the door, but my efforts were futile. Time lost all meaning as I remained trapped, haunted by eerie whispers and unseen footsteps echoing in the distance. Days turned into weeks, and the boundary between reality and nightmare blurred. Hunger gnawed at my insides, but there was no food or water. My strength waned, and I began to lose hope. Then, one fateful night, the door swung open. A ray of light pierced through the darkness, and I stumbled out into the Burger King, disoriented and weak. But something had changed. The restaurant was restored to its usual lively state. Customers chatted animatedly, and the staff moved about with cheerful efficiency. Confused, I approached the counter, hoping for answers. The cashier looked at me with concern, unaware of the horrors I'd endured. I asked about the man in the outdated uniform, the cursed room, and the haunting whispers. But he shook his head, dismissing my claims as the delusions of a troubled mind. Haunted by my experiences, I vowed never to set foot in Burger King again. The trauma had shattered my skepticism, and I now understood that there are forces beyond our comprehension lurking in the shadows, even in the most mundane of places. So, the next time you find yourself craving a Whopper, be cautious. The Burger King curse may still linger, waiting to ensnare the unsuspecting. And once you become part of its dark embrace, escape may be impossible. Story 3. The Haunting Whopper. My name is John, and I have always been a skeptic when it comes to supernatural phenomena. Ghosts, spirits, and haunted places were nothing more than imaginative tales to me. However, one terrifying encounter at my local Burger King would forever change my perspective. It was a chilly Friday night when I decided to satisfy my hunger with a quick trip to Burger King. The fluorescent lights bathed the interior in a warm glow as I entered. The place was bustling with customers, the aroma of sizzling burgers filling the air. Little did I know that this seemingly ordinary visit would turn into a spine-chilling experience. As I stood in line waiting to place my order, I noticed a peculiar employee behind the counter. His name tag read Jason, and he had a dark, ominous aura surrounding him. His eyes, sunken and devoid of life, seemed to penetrate the very depths of my soul. I shivered, but dismissed it as an overactive imagination. I placed my order for a classic Whopper with fries and took a seat near the window. The restaurant had an unsettling silence to it, despite the presence of other customers. The sound of chatter was muted, as if muffled by an invisible force. The atmosphere grew heavier by the minute, and a sense of unease crept over me. Minutes later, my order arrived. The moment I took a bite of the flame, grilled patty, a wave of nausea washed over me. The taste was off, unlike anything I had ever experienced before. The meat had an unnatural texture, almost like it was infused with something otherworldly. Alarmed, I spat it out and inspected the half-eaten burger, but it appeared ordinary. I dismissed the strange taste as a fluke, attributing it to an off day in the kitchen. However, the eerie sensation lingered, and a persistent feeling of being watched made my skin crawl. I glanced around the restaurant, searching for any explanation for my discomfort. That's when I noticed the mirrors. Burger King, like many fast food joints, had large mirrors strategically placed on the walls to create a sense of spaciousness. But as I looked closer, I saw something horrifying. My reflection was not my own. Instead, it was distorted, twisted into a grotesque, malevolent grin. Panic seized me, and I bolted for the exit, leaving my untouched fries and half-eaten burger behind. But the nightmare had only just begun. As I stepped out into the night, a bone-chilling whisper reached my ears, carried by the wind. It was a soft, ethereal voice, beckoning me back into the restaurant. Driven by a mix of fear and curiosity, I found myself involuntarily returning to the entrance. The once bustling eatery was now empty, devoid of any sign of life. The fluorescent lights flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Dread settled in my gut, but I couldn't tear my eyes away from what awaited me. As if guided by an invisible force, I walked toward the counter. Behind it stood Jason, the enigmatic employee, but his appearance had changed. His face was pale, his eyes hollow, and his uniform tattered. He beckoned me forward, his voice a chilling whisper that echoed through the desolate restaurant. "Join us, John," he murmured. "Indulge in the haunting Whopper. Be a part of something greater." Terror surged through my veins as I realized the truth. The Burger King I once knew had become a gateway to the realm of the supernatural. The haunting Whopper, an innocent-looking burger, had become a conduit for otherworldly entities, drawing unsuspecting souls into their clutches. I mustered every ounce of courage I had left and made a mad dash for the exit, desperate to escape the clutches of the malevolent presence. But as I reached the door, it slammed shut, sealing me inside with the haunting spirits. Time lost all meaning as I wandered through the haunted Burger King, my footsteps echoing through the empty halls. The spirits tormented me, whispering their chilling secrets and sending shivers down my spine. Despair threatened to engulf me, but I refused to succumb. After what felt like an eternity, I stumbled upon a hidden passage, a narrow staircase leading to an underground chamber. Curiosity drove me forward as I descended into the bowels of the restaurant, unaware of the horrors that awaited me. The chamber was a macabre sight, adorned with ancient symbols and dimly lit by flickering candles. Shadows danced on the walls, whispering secrets I couldn't comprehend. A sense of foreboding filled the air, as if I had stumbled upon a sacrificial altar. As I turned to leave, a blinding light engulfed the chamber, and the spirits materialized before me. They were twisted, tortured souls, their faces contorted with pain and anguish. Their voices merged into a cacophony of torment, filling my ears and overwhelming my senses. But amidst the chaos, a figure appeared. It was Jason, no longer a vessel for evil, but a trapped, soul-seeking redemption. His voice resonated with sadness as he revealed the dark truth of the Burger King. Years ago, a malevolent cult had performed a ritual, binding their souls to the restaurant, forever haunting it. Driven by compassion, I vowed to help Jason and the tortured spirits find peace. Through ancient rites and offerings, we sought to break the curse that held them captive. Days turned into nights as we battled the forces of darkness, slowly unraveling the secrets of the Burger King's haunting. Finally, the moment of truth arrived. As we completed the final ritual, the spirits were released from their torment, disappearing into the ethereal realm. Jason, free at last, thanked me with a heartfelt smile before vanishing into the abyss. Since that fateful night, Burger King has undergone a transformation. The dark energy that once pervaded the restaurant has dissipated, replaced by a sense of serenity. The Whoopers are once again flame, grilled to perfection, devoid of any supernatural influence. Though my encounter with the haunting Whopper forever changed me, I emerged with a newfound belief in the supernatural. The world is a mysterious place, filled with forces beyond our comprehension. And even the most ordinary of places can hide unimaginable horrors, waiting to be discovered by the unsuspecting. So, the next time you step into a Burger King, take heed. Be wary of the haunting Whopper, for it may lure you into a realm of darkness from which there is no escape.